Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're subscribed anywhere you get podcasts, and be sure to follow me on socials at MLU Pod. You can also support the show for as little as $1 a month. The link is in the description and over at peteraradio.com. Today on the show, returning to My Little Underground, we have Lovehoney. Their long-awaited debut full-length album is out right now, and Aly and Tommy pull up to talk all about it, along with guitar smashing, their upcoming vinyl release of the album, and so much more with Lovehoney returning to My Little Underground. Tommy, I know you asked me privately if you can lend your thoughts on Phoebe Bridgers smashing your guitar on Saturday Night Live. I gotta be honest with you. I was reluctant to talk about it, but I think it's very important to talk about now with, just like with rock music as a whole and the whole thing. Cause I think it's some of the discourse I saw of it is like generational. Like, how dare she do that? And some people are like, you boomer, why are you doing that? So like,
you boomer.
yeah, that's what I've seen.
I think really the only person that I was kind of like mad in terms of with how she handled it was really just because David Crosby, because I'm a big David Crosby fan. Crosby, Still and Nash and the Byrds and stuff like that. And so he's an OG, but like people got to understand, like he's like when he came at her, I think he's coming from a place of like hurt and like in terms of like where he's at right now in the music business. And like, because, he's always been vocal about streaming and stuff like that. So he really seems like really bitter and really just tortured by the fact that, and I think Flea or someone said, well, what about Jimi Hendrix and what about The Who? Like these were contemporaries of his. But he didn't have to really play on that because when they did stuff, it was completely different. And I don't think that, and like when Jimmy, his famous Monterey thing, he said beforehand, I'm gonna sacrifice something I really love. So, you know what I mean? So that was a sacrifice. That was like a Native American sacrifice that he was conducting at that. So it was spiritual. And whereas The Who, when you see the old pictures of them stuff, they didn't care. Pete Townsend didn't care if he hurt himself. He didn't care if like something exploded. So it wasn't premeditated. And I think what happens now with the thing with Phoebe, though it was dope, is the premeditation. Once we find out that stuff is like premeditated in terms of, when I mean premeditated, I mean like you contact the guitar place to make sure it's okay. It's almost like back in the day, if had Nikki Sixx called up,
Can I smash this guitar off your guys' back?
Right. Or like dig it. Like, or it's like Nikki Sixx wasn't calling the hotel that they were in and saying, by the way, we're gonna trash this hotel tonight. Is that okay?
We're gonna pay for everything.
We're gonna pay for everything. So like if you're gonna break a guitar, don't call the company and ask them if it's okay and stuff like that. So it's like, but that's the generational thing. I think that's kind of the new. It's almost like I tell Aly about this all the time. To me, that's kind of like this pre-ripped jean thing that we're on, where like everything is like pre-ripped jeans, where people are paying to get a look of rock and roll. And it's manufactured though. So it's not, you see Kurt Cobain back in the day, those was real rips. You see those jeans, that was from wear and tear. But now we purchased this, but we want the same level of respect. We want the same level as if the rips came natural. So we're kind of so rock and roll has been manufactured. So smashing stuff and doing stuff to people now, is it real? Is it a real emotion? Because it's always got to be part theater because that's showmanship. But like I was saying, like when you call the guitar company or when you have a monitor that's set up, because the guys that were smashing guitars, whether it be Courtney Love, they didn't care if they exploded because it was in the moment. Had they like electrocuted themselves, it was just going to happen. But when you make sure everything is right for you to make something look so wrong, that's the part where I'm like, damn, man, I wish it was more like, I don't care if this hurt, because Aly and I, we have a good friend named Johnny who would break instruments. He had like a 1960 something Mustang, and he would pick that guitar up, sling it up, and get mad. He didn't
Smack it
care.
on the wall.
He didn't care, and you knew it was genuine. It wasn't like, oh, let me make sure I don't hurt anybody. Let me make sure. So, that's the thing. You gotta respect the girl for being herself. But like, David, I understand that he's feeling like we're living in a world now where is this all somebody has to do? Is how genuine is that type of stuff? And I can't question the validity of what she did, but I can question calling up a guitar place, saying, "Is this okay?" Having a speaker already set up to do something instead of just being crazy and not caring what was going. Because that's rock and roll. Rock and roll is like, I'm not thinking. I don't care. You see Kirk falling into like the thing. He didn't care if he knocked out the drummer's teeth. It was just in that moment of that.
I did that to Tom.
Yeah, so, that's just, I'm just a nerd about stuff like that, and I know that and I appreciate the legends. And like I said, David is a legend, man. He's a living legend. So if he feels a certain type of way, a lot of people took it out of place, and in terms of but if anybody, this is the same guy. He's been on the same stages with Grace Slick, with Janis Joplin. So he's been around the biggest women in rock. Joni Mitchell. These are his friends. So he's seen the greats. Like I say, he shared the stage with Hendrix. So so he would never call their stuff trash when they did stuff, because he knew that it wasn't. He knew how organic it was. So I mean, hopefully that makes sense in terms of I'm 50-50 with it. I'm like, do your thing, but at the same time, if you got on some pre-rip joints and you trying to act like those is real rips, I'm gonna call you out on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm on the 50-50 side. But Aly, I've seen, a lot of men weigh their, opinion on this. I haven't seen too much women, add their thoughts on the whole smashing guitar things in general. So Aly, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think whatever happens on stage happens on stage.
Okay.
I mean, if it was premeditated, that's really funny. Like a rehearsed, debacle. Rehearse. I'm gonna rehearse destroying things. That's really funny. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. Only just because when I'm on stage, I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna do until I'm after I did it. So more power to her. I saw a lot of jokes.
Yeah, and I didn't see Brittany Howard. I don't think anyone cares really.
Because it's been done.
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
Oh God. And then, it took her a couple tries.
Oh, really? I didn't see the clip, I just know the discourse. Wow, okay. But you know what? When I listen to not throwing Phoebe under the bus and like that, but when I hear a song like Kyoto, I don't want to smash anything, but maybe she does. And Phoebe is a victim of abuse too, so maybe all that energy came out. But when I see you, Lovehoney, live, I see this raw energy. So Tommy, have you ever felt the need to smash anything while on stage? Because you guys are ripping and shredding. That's your MO, it seems like.
I guess really like what Aly says. Aly is such a great, I just have respect for the person up front to the point to where, I'm part of the vehicle, but I look at her as the engine. So I never want to do anything at any moment that could potentially overshadow that situation. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the stuff that we end up doing together is so organic that it looks choreographed. But so the last thing I want to do is do something just to enhance the moment, but then would throw her off and throw off the situation because because our stage act is so dynamic that, we don't have to. So, but to answer your question, as far as breaking stuff, I feel like playing the guitar, in my feel is enough for me. That's my way of breaking it or playing like that, and that's why
it makes it scream.
Right. So I've never had the need to necessarily want to destroy something because again, too, I'm a really mellow dude. So I'm not really into hitting my hand against the wall or doing stuff and, that type of anger. It has to be some sort of rage and anger. at some point for you to want to destroy something, for where you want to destruct something. So I'm more so thinking about I'm destructing these strings, or you know what I mean, or whatever. I'm feeling the moment. But I think that may have something to do with it too, in terms of like what's in you psychologically, like you said, like with first, like there might be some built up rage. I just want to hit something. I just want to do something. And so you know what I mean? So I've never been in that bag to where I wanted to go beyond just, like Alex said, making the guitar stream. And then at that point, I also then have I'm still cognizant too, that when the GOAT, he did it, I don't want to now come and do something and then it seems like I'm copying off of him by burning it or breaking it and doing stuff like that. Cause then it would seem like I'm biting him, you know what I mean? And so that's something that, you know, Black guitarists have to be cognizant of, the moves, the things that you do might be compared to that. So I want everything to be me, and I don't want to do anything that seems like I'm biting somebody else. So and Aly's just such a great vehicle. It's like, I don't gotta do nothing, because she's letting it out, man, you know, if that makes any sense, I guess, you know.
I think you know, Lovehoney as a group, from a performance standpoint, it's about what are the people doing? Like, how are you reacting? It's all about making the crowd react, not like the actual performers, you know, because the first time I've seen you live, like my reaction was like, I felt like I was at Zumba, you know, at the end I was very sweaty. It was cardio for me. It was unreal. Like, and I paid like next to nothing, but I got a very valuable experience.
Oh, thank you. So love that.
Definitely keep that going. Even if someone, like, if you feel tired, you know, when we have shows again, go to a Lovehoney show. You'll get injected with that, you know, auditory caffeine. Like that. Yeah. So the full length album is out. So how close are we to getting vinyl and or cassettes or any kind of, you know, other physical media other than the
spring? Yeah. So we should have something in the next 3 months. We want to line it up. Honestly, would be fun if we can somehow, me and Tom are trying to work it out where we can have some sort of a show, and because, you know, we talk about like how the food industry, or you know, the restaurants, they're at a certain capacity, right? And they're allowing people to eat there with no mask and do stuff like that. But what's so funny is that with the shows, these small venues that hold 100 people, they haven't yet come to the conclusion of being able to allow that to happen. Say for like a select 30 or a select 20 that can be there with a mask and do that, where we could have, and you know, we want to have some sort of a release, like a vinyl release there. And the funny thing, like I told Tom, is like, what was the capacity for a lot of these venues anyway? When they were having shows like a year and a half ago, it was 10 or 15 people at a show anyway. So what percentage is that in comparison to having a restaurant with a bunch of people in that with no mask? You might as well go back to opening up shows, because only 10 or 20 people going to show up anyway. You know, and most
15 of them are coming.
Yeah, 15. So why not? Let's make that an event this time. Let's take that 15 or 20 and say, okay, it's going to be only 25 can come in, you know, get the temperature, make sure they wear a mask, and have a show, and then have some sort of a vinyl release. So if we can do that, I mean, that would be wonderful. Give people that opportunity, you know, where something could be like that. But it's going to come out regardless in probably about 3 months, the vinyl release of the record, and then probably cassettes will then follow. But if we could make it in connection with a show, that would be safe for everybody and be kind of like, I think that would be cool, especially if we could have like a select 20 or 25 that would come in and you know, rock out to the release of the vinyl.
Record store. Have you thought about doing anything in regards to that?
That's actually something really good to ponder. You know what I mean? That's actually
that's the safest way. That's the safest thing to do in regards to like a record release kind of thing.
Right. I was thinking about doing something in terms of like a signing for Aly to do, because we have a cool record store that's up in Peekskill where I'm at. It's small, but it's like that's where I got a lot of the vinyl stuff that I get from, and all they sell is vinyl. They don't even sell new records unless it's from like a local artist. So everything in there is used in the original prints. But I wanted to do something like that, potentially like a signing of, where people can come and get the record and stuff like that. Something fun like that, where you how many people are coming in and then you can sign the record, but just something fun like that, But it's amazing how other places, some artists that I follow, how they've been playing shows and different stuff like Blackberry Smoke and a lot of the Southern rock bands and kind of those bands, they've totally bypassed this thing, and they're back having shows, in different places, but it's a different mentality in a lot of other, cities that are different from us, in terms of New York. We're probably like the most safest because of we were affected the hardest in the beginning in terms of things.
Was there any kind of meaning behind releasing an album on Valentine's Day? And it's so strange. I've never seen a Sunday album release before.
Well, Tommy just told me. He asked me what I thought, and I said, well, duh.
Lovehoney, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a love album. I mean, I feel like it's a love. I feel because I feel that it's a. I mean, I think everything that a lot of the songs, if you read Aly's lyrics, it's relationship based, if not reality is someone that she knows. So because you listen to all the different songs, they have a theme of in that regard. And so with this album, I felt like, hey man, let's make it, let's have it on an official day. And my dad just gave it to me because I want to do February, some point in February. He said, why not do it on a holiday? Why not do it on something where it could be remembered in terms of like, remembered for where it's okay, it's a certain day, and so I said, oh, when he told me that, I was like, man, that's a great idea. So then that's when I told Aly, and she was like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense considering the blend of the album in terms of the first side and what we'd like to call the second side. But if you dissect the lyrics and look at everything, it's a love album. It has the softness, it has hardness, it has all the aspects of love and hate, and everything is all together. So why not give it on Valentine's Day? Why not make it an event, so to speak?
And this album is very sonically diverse. There's a lot of hard rockness, and then there's some sultry R&B in this. So after wrapping the album, did you feel like you should be leaning one way or the other? Did you feel so confident in a certain style of song that you were like, you know what, we got to do this thing from now on?
Well, we've always done it. We've always had a mix of different things. We maybe didn't release all those songs that we've ever written, but we've always had a really eclectic set of songs in our catalog, and this was just our chance to put it all together and mix it with what people know us for.
Aly's right in terms of it's because what happens is like we found out, we feel like we could honestly give our fans a full-length record of any version of soul, whether it be heavy soul in terms of harder soul, or softer, more R&B soul. We could essentially give somebody that at that point. But I think how we like to be able to separate ourselves from our contemporaries is by showing that we can wear those hats just as great as anybody else. Like we can go as hard as a metal band, but we can go as soft as a neo soul band, but yet it can still sound like that one person. And whereas I think some artists, they either just aren't familiar with they're only familiar with the style that they make of music. And that's great because, there's going to be people that like our stuff that only want to hear heavy stuff. And, there's a lot of people that look like the three of us that only want to hear the R&B joints. And so we love it all. So that's why we give it all. But, at least this album was an opportunity for us to make our debut, so that if all of a sudden now Aly and I say, okay, let's drop a 10 song and it's nothing but 70s, Cadillac soul type music, no one won't be confused. Or if we turn around and hit them with like a Sabbath style album, 9, 8 songs like that, they'll take it too
You
because
can't say, oh, that's different for them.
right.
It's not.
Right, you know, because so we've shown them that, but I really don't know which one per se that I like the most as far as what we do in terms of that stuff type of stuff. I guess it depends on like the mood, you know, the mood that you're in at that time is going to make you want to, you know, hear more of one thing or less, I guess, you know.
Obviously, I like performing all of the harder songs just because I get to be more aggressive and more animated on stage, but I still do really like singing the more softer songs that we do have, because I also get to show that I can sing. I'm not just yelling all the time.
And that she's vulnerable like Drake.
Or Lauren, or you know, Mos Def, you know, those guys have and girls have very emotional sides to them, which I appreciate. You know, I know you guys were campaigning to get this album reviewed. Did you have any luck finding anyone to criticize this?
Yeah, Classic Rock was the biggest publication that we was able to actually get to. I mean, a shout out to Holly there and the staff. They've been like the major publication of our, you know, in our genre, that's from the very beginning, you know, haven't been afraid to embrace what we're doing and embrace other people who don't have a huge platform and give them, you know, opportunities through their songs of the week and stuff like that. And so we were lucky enough to get a feature in one of their magazines, which was really great for us when we got featured. But this was the first time that we were able to actually get our music review, which happened to be the debut. So they commissioned a writer. I got the email that they commissioned this guy to write the review. And oddly enough, I mean, it's out on newsstands now. It's issue 286 that has Pink Floyd on it. And he's called it an electrifying debut. But his only gripe about it or dislike was that were the mellow stuff. So I guess, so it really depends on that writer, you know, in terms of their taste, in terms of like, do they like soul music or do they like stuff like that? Because it definitely is, it'll throw anybody through a loop when you hear something like Sandman Night or You, and then hear Liquid, you know, because like no one's used to, people really aren't, that's not normal right now for people to get hit with something like that. And then you hear that someone can sing like that. That's not normal to people. So, you know, it's not going to be shocking that a lot of people that are so used to just rock aren't going to be able to adapt to the slower mellow songs. But then again, you know, it could be the complete opposite with the next reviewer and so forth. But I mean, the fact that he was saying like, this is electrifying debut and then everything else, blah, blah, but the slower stuff, he couldn't find his way around it. I mean, that was, you know, that's just how that stuff goes, you know.
What are you most proud of about this album?
Well, first, that we were able to record that shit in 2 days.
Let's go.
Basically. Like, seriously, like that was a really great experience. And I didn't really feel stressed out or anything during the process. We came in and we got to work and we made it happen. So I think the process is something that I'm really proud of, but also I'm just really happy with the way it came out. It has enough hard rock in it for me, and then it has enough slow songs in it for me to the point where I'm listening to it myself more than I've listened to any of our EPs myself. I listen to the whole album almost every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most proud that I feel like we made something that I believe is timeless and will be considered that way. Because when you're doing, like for me, when I do, you know, we're doing retro throwback style music, and I try to think about everything that we make, and especially I think we're able to accomplish that with this, is that if you put us in a time machine and put us back in that time or put us in the late 60s or 70s, will it can this be something that won't sound like a knockoff of anything, but will stand on its own? And I think we were able to accomplish that with this song, because a lot of songs from back in the day from famous people were inspired by other artists. Sunshine of Your Love was written because Jack Bruce saw Jimi Hendrix play and ended up coming with that iconic riff. But it doesn't sound like a Jimi Hendrix song. So, you know what I mean? So with us, when we're making these songs, you can hear influences of stuff, but yet if you put it in that time, I feel that that record can be toe-to-toe with any of the contemporaries of those times. And so that's my biggest goal when making music, is to make sure, because a lot of the stuff today sounds great, but it's so much of a knockoff of the stuff from the past that if you put those people on the same charts at the same time, they would obviously could they say this is plagiarism. So that's, I feel like we accomplished something that's pure, that's raw. We did it in such a short period of time. We did it during a pandemic. I mean, I literally had a mask on the whole time. Every solo you hear is the first take because we had to get out of there, you know. So I'm very much accomplished that Aly and I was able to take, you know, those 5 years of work and make something that I think is the best rock album that album 2021 is. I mean, the quality, just the passion, just and without the industry, without because every review I read that was in classic rock that was with us, it was always naming big time producers. It was always naming this person worked with Rage Against the Machine, this person worked with XYZ. All these things had to be announced in order for you to believe that this was a good album. And we didn't have to do any of that stuff. So anybody who actually digs it, they're digging us and they're not digging someone else's name.
Organic.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is made by the band and not made by a bunch of people with big names and big money, big studio money behind them, you know, and that's something that makes me proud, because I know we did it by ourselves, you know.
And all of these songs weren't good to go as soon as we got there. Like there's some songs in there that we wrote the day we went to just rehearse and just get our feet wet and get back into the swing of things. We wrote You the day that we got back together to practice to record the album. And then it ended up on the album. Like I'm super proud of that song. That's like one of my favorite songs. And that was Tommy had that riff already in his brain of riffs, and we and I just like sat there and I loved it, and I just like came up with like a melody in my head, and I just started writing, and then the song was born, and it's one of to me it's like one of my favorites.
We killed it, man. Just seeing this girl in the studio was like seeing her write like that, and like it's like you watching a movie, like you watching one of these movies when somebody pick up that notebook and they hear that stuff. So it's like a lot of times when we was there, it was like I was outside of my body watching something occur, because it's like, damn, I'm in this movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a character. I'm in this cast of this type of thing. Like somebody writing a song in 1 minute and like, you know, I'm like, so that made us happy. And the fact, like Aly said, man, we hadn't seen each other in like 5 months and only had one practice to show Tom and Matt 10 songs. That was crazy. And most of the people that's recorded throughout the course of the pandemic, big time artists, they didn't have to do that. And so I feel great that we're in a magazine. We're the only independent and we're the only unsigned band that's in classic rock. I literally had to make up the name. I had to use my publishing company name as the name of the record label, because there was no such thing as writing unsigned. So like you really have to put a label, a record label, as in order to be in the magazine. Because I told the guy, I was like, can we just put unsigned so if someone likes us, they can approach us? He's like, nope. We've never had anything like this. So that was big, you know, for us to and a lot of people won't know that when they just pick up the magazine, that this is an unsigned band that got in the magazine.
And we can all hear the album on Spotify, etc. But how can people purchase this album to directly support Lovehoney?
go to our website and you can get the merch package that we have right now, where you'll get a t-shirt, you get the CD, and you get some pins. And then in the spring, we're going to have another situation where you can get the vinyl, a new design t-shirt, and something else to go along with it. So go to our website and grab that bad boy, man. And they're doing really good, man. For an independent band with no promotion, we're getting sales every day, man. So that's been a blessing to see how people have gravitated towards, and people are wearing the shirts and posting them and stuff. So that's pretty hip, you know.
What's the website? Plug it.
Lovehoneymusic.com.
There we go. There we go. Now, how can people follow Lovehoney on the internet, social media, etc.?
Same thing. Lovehoney Music on Instagram.
MySpace.
Tinder. eHarmony.
We're on Craigslist.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, OnlyFans. That's coming.
That's probably the actual Lovehoney company. They're definitely
They're gonna have an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I won't be there.
Of course.
But all the regular. I will. But all those.
Gonna be there. Yeah, no.
I'll be there, man.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll show people my toes at least. We need the money. We need the money.
Yeah. It's a good source of
Those are
revenue.
the sacrifices I'm not willing to make.
Yeah, I mean, Hendrix burned a guitar, but Tommy's gonna show his toes. So
Yeah.
All right, Lovehoney, Aly, Tommy, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
again
you.
on My Little Underground. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Same.
All
Always
right.
a pleasure, man.
Likewise.